Hey, I'm Amy. This is take 2 of my first Facebook Live, so fingers crossed it goes well. I wanted to talk today about what somatic sex education is or what it is I do, because I get that question a lot. So basically, somatic sex education is an emerging profession around sexual embodiment, empowerment, and wellness, all the good, healthy, and even spiritual aspects of our sexuality. Another way to think about it is it's focused on awakening, deepening, or nourishing your sexual self. So it's trauma informed and client directed. And by client directed, I mean you, the client, is always in charge. So you want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, you're taking care of any needs, anything that might come up for you, that you're staying safe, that you feel supported, that you're embodied, staying in your body, and that you're not enduring. We do so much enduring in the world. I definitely don't want that happening when you're with me or in my office. So client directed, and then also trauma informed. Basically, I assume everybody who comes into my office has been traumatized in some way. Sometimes it's physically, sometimes it's mentally. Often it's simply by being socialized in our sex negative, body shaming, pleasure limiting, goddess denigrating, patriarchal culture. And this applies to people of all genders. So for women, it also often takes the form of just being shut off from our sexuality, made to feel guilty for wanting more or for wanting any, and frozen with guilt or with shame. And for men, it often takes the form of being forced into a really narrow construct of what it is to be masculine. And for a lot of men, that means being restricted in terms of emotions and intimacy. And then, of course, everything in between. So often this means that people flee from their bodies or they freeze and they're really unable to follow the tendrils of pleasure that we're otherwise able to feel. And this leads to all kinds of dissociation from our bodies and a very real limiting of pleasure. So thanks everybody who's here and joining me. And if we don't allow ourselves to feel pleasure, it's often because we feel we don't deserve it, or we don't know how, or we feel unsafe. So that's what somatic sex education is about. It's about learning how to feel safe in our bodies and how to embrace more pleasure in our lives. It's about facilitating you, the client, to be able to really remove shame and blame and guilt, and empowering us in our bodies, in our desires, in our health, in our confidence, and in our overall well-being. So how do we do this? How do I do this as a somatic sex educator? Basically, I use 5 seemingly super basic tools, and those are breath, mindfulness, staying present and embodied, sound, movement, and touch. And then I use those tools to teach you how to regulate your autonomic nervous system and also how to remap your brain using something called neuroplasticity, which is just a big fancy word, and it means the ability to change or expand how we experience pleasure and our capacity for pleasure. So for those of you who haven't seen me yet, I provide a judgment-free, sex-positive space to explore yourself and learn how to be your best sexual self and to heal, to feel whole and loved and beautiful, which we all are. And I offer private one-on-one coaching and workshops. So please reach out to me with any questions you might have, silly sounding or otherwise. And I always offer free initial consultation. My overarching goal is to make sure that all my clients feel safe and supported on their journeys, and to help you have the best sex life and everyday health and wellness and real, life that you can possibly have. So thanks so much, everybody. I'm going to take questions offline if I can. Thanks. Bye.